Well, hello, hello. Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sundays with Seth, episode 2. We will, now that we're live, I'll wait for some people to go ahead and enter and stream and join us here. And then we'll get started with our Metal Church Liturgy. And finishing up a few title cards that I think might be kind of fun. So, yeah, working on those right now. Trying to vary up the colors though. I'm a mildly artistic person. And I've got a whole hodgepodge of things to use for these. So I just opened up this. I've got, this is a highlighter. This is a highlighter. I don't know what this is. This is a highlighter. This is a Sharpie. And this is kind of like a Sharpie. And this is like a dry erase Crayola marker. So I'm making these things so that we're ready to rock with these section cards once we're ready to go. But hey, to remind you of the nature of Metal Church Liturgy and the structure, we will be doing a Q&A section toward the end. So get your Q's in now and just comment and just say hi. Let me know where you're saying hi from, and I'll reach out and acknowledge. Hi, Ben. Ben says, hey. He's always the first, it seems like. Ben has things set and ready to go. So I'm actually wondering, as everybody logs in, I'm curious if anyone remembers all the different sections of Metal Church Liturgy. We had 6 sections of this liturgy. So who thinks they remember? As I make out these section cards, it'll help us remember all the different pieces of the liturgy. Oh, Ben's from Melbourne. Is that Melbourne, Florida, or Melbourne, Australia, Ben? And Brett is from South Florida. Chris is from Big Sandy, Tennessee. Big Sandy. My kids are really into SpongeBob recently, and Big Sandy makes me think of a huge squirrel living underwater. In fact, my son just drew this. He just turned 9, and he drew a SpongeBob and Squid Patrick thing. So yeah. So Colombia. Hi, Andres. So yeah, if you can remember any of the parts of Metal Church Liturgy, the various sections we have in our liturgy, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you remember. And don't cheat and go back and watch that thing. Oh, Ben is in Australia. Oh my gosh, Ben. 4 a.m. in Australia? This is unhealthy. You need to just watch this later. Don't watch it live. Or are you like a second shift or third shift kind of person who has your sleep all different than everybody else? Riff of the week, Ben, you're right. Riff of the week. We'll have a riff of the week. In fact, I'm making that section card right now. I'm trying to make it look nice for you guys. Yeah, I was trying to get it done before I started, but I wasn't able to quite finish it all up. So, good job, Ben. Riff of the week. Riff of the week key card's done. Section card is done. Okay, well, it looks like we got a decent amount of people in here now. So, I'm going to start to... Oh, hi, Jonathan from Chile. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's start. So, in every Sunday with Seth, we will have Metal Church Liturgy. Oh man, I gotta make sure my fingers only take up a small amount of space on here. Metal Church Liturgy. So this is our Metal Church Liturgy section card. Although it's not really a section, it's the whole format, but that's our format card. hello from Greece. Hi, Oliver from Greece. And, as people are just logging in, remember, as we do our Metal Church Liturgy, part of it will be Q&A toward the end, so get your Q's in now. If you got questions you want me to give attention to, put them in the comics. Oh, Canada. Nice. Hi, guys. And we'll start now since we've got some people in here. Our first part of Metal Church Liturgy is... it takes a second for the camera to adjust on that. Intro/recap. So here's our intro/recap. Basically, that is what's been going on in the last week in my/BTA's life. So first of all, I hope that you've all continued to be safe during the pandemic. Hope that you've been able to accessorize your face mask. This morning at church, I wore a Star Wars face mask. So Chewbacca was here, and R2-D2 was here. It was like an old, comics style drawing on the cloth. So not like a picture or anything like that. It was like you'd read in the Sunday papers, like the funnies, you know. So it's that style of drawing of some of those characters, probably from a comic book, but I'm honestly not sure. I ordered it off Etsy, and I liked it. So that was my Star Wars face mask I got to wear this morning during church service while I was preaching, and it was my first time preaching to a gathered group of live human beings in over 4 months. We had our last worship service mid-March in person, and I honestly can't remember if I preached that Sunday or the previous Sunday. I'm one of 2 pastors at our church, and we trade off preaching. So I either preached on March 1st or 8th. I can't remember if we met on the 15th or not. We may not have. That might have been right before then that it all got called off. So yeah, it's been since March 1st or 8th, I think, since I preached. So that was my first time in 4 months. So went okay. Brett says he's got a Spider-Man mask that's also comic book style. You the man. Although, I do have to say, Spider-Man's okay, but I'm not a huge Marvel guy. Kind of think it's over. So, and I see a Q in there. Very good. All right. Well, that's actually a good one, Colin. Now that you're a minister, how do you feel about the theology of BTA lyrics? Oh, gosh. Honestly, I almost need to put that out as a Q&A for next week or something so I can give that some more thought. Let me write that down. All right. So, as we keep going over the first part of Metal Church Liturgy, the first part of which is intro/recap for all of you who have just joined us. Intro/recap. So yeah, today we did drive-in worship. It was our second week of doing drive-in worship. It was weird. It was really hot and I was sweating all over the place. Because we were outside and people were in their cars, and even though it was only in the 70s, something about being in the direct sunlight, I was feeling sweat rolling down my torso inside my clergy collar while I was preaching. So it was rough. So yeah, normally I'm exhausted, but it was okay. I also had an interesting thing this week where I had a funeral. Well, a memorial, really, at a funeral home for one of our dear old members who was a charter member, original member of our church. Church is a little over 60 years old, and she was 80-something, 89, I think, and when she died, and she was one of the original members. Lived only a few minutes from my house, but at the memorial I had to wear my face mask while I was giving the homily at her memorial. So that was odd. I had never done that before. So I did that. And, I forgot to mention that on that, I want to mention that on that jacket that I showed last week, I somehow missed 2 pins I had there on the collars right here. One is the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and the other one is Rancid. And so I just somehow, when I was looking over the things, I skipped those, so I wanted you to know about those. So that's the recap of what's gone over the last week and of last week's Sundays with Seth inaugural episode, because now we're on episode 2 of Sundays with Seth. And so now we get to our second part of Metal Church Liturgy, which is Around the Horn. Now, I don't know if you can tell this, but around and horn are actually in pink. Thought that was appropriate. Around the Horn is the part of Metal Church Liturgy where we go around touching base on different things. So you see that I'm wearing another Anchors shirt. This one's no longer in print, but it's one that our drummer's brother he was an Imagineer at Disney, and he designed it. So we were really happy to have him design one. He worked down there in Orlando. I don't know if he does that anymore, but he did for a number of years. He was a great graphic designer. I see Tim Duran sees Metal Church is one of my favorite metal from the 80s. Yeah, we talked about the song Metal Church by the band Metal Church on the album Metal Church, Tim, last week. Go watch episode 1. It's great. Oh, Mary said, clergy collar, what religion? I'm a Lutheran pastor, ELCA. So, up here in Wisconsin. So, Anchors, like I said, hasn't done much. Like I said, I got another song I can probably release at some point, but no rush to do that. Death Therapy released an instrumental EP, I think, recently. So some of you have probably already heard that. You guys can go check that out. I think I think it's mostly digital, but he might have made physical copies. So reach out to Jason if you'd like to get a Death Therapy thing. Daniel is apparently in Atlanta right now. He lives in California now, but he's in Atlanta right now jamming with the guys from Fit for a King. Now, I don't know what it was for. I just saw it on Instagram. I don't know if they were doing like a live recording for like a concert type thing, or if they were just practicing or what, but they're doing something. And I mentioned in episode 1 that they're getting ready for an album. They have either recorded it or done something, and they have the artwork for it and everything. So that's moving forward. I don't know what the release date is yet on that, but they're coming out with a new album. And I've had some good conversations. Duck is doing well, and I'll actually be chatting with him again this week coming up. And talked a little bit to Jason, and that. In episode 1 I mentioned he went up to Indianapolis, or no, not Indianapolis, somewhere in Indiana for a festival, and it seemed to go well. And and then guitar name. I played the guitar, and you'll see it again on Riff of the Week, as part of Metal Church Liturgy. But I asked for name suggestions, and I got like a couple, but it didn't. People kept suggesting S words. So if you got some suggestions for any guitar names, that'd be good. All right. So that is the second part of Metal Church Liturgy, which brings us to the third part of Metal Church Liturgy, which is Merch of the Week. And Merch of the Week is, last week was our patch. This week is this shirt, which we just got sent out. It's black on the front. As Spinal Tap would say, it could be none more black. And on the front, and then on the back is this guy. So this was a piece of artwork drawn by, let's see, I'm trying to figure out which way to move to get it on there. There we go. Drawn by Casey McKinley, and pretty rad, pretty sweet. It's like a pencil drawing, and so we turned it into a hoodie first, and then a shirt with that golden sword and the ribbon around the sword saying "Terminate Damnation." So that's our original Thrash logo on front, none more black. And then drawing by Casey McKinley, really, really nice idea he had on the theme of Terminate Damnation as we sort of continue, celebrating the 15th anniversary of our first album, Terminate Damnation. So that's our merch of the week, which you can pick up. You can send us a message or an email, or you can order it off our Etsy store. And we can ship anywhere you'd like. So if you live in anywhere on planet Earth, we can ship it to you. So that's merch of the week. Now we're to our fourth part of Metal Church Liturgy, which is Q&A. And I'm pretty sure that's not an ampersand. I got them mixed up in my mind, and I think I drew a treble clef. So we'll just pretend that it's intentional, and that it's meant to be an ampersand, meaning and, but is instead a musical variation of an ampersand, which is a treble clef on the music staff. So Q&A. So I got a couple decent ones. Doris, by the way, rank Noah. Doris is not the name I'm going to give my guitar. Sorry. And Q&A. Someone asked, I got a couple of good ones, both from last week and between last week and this week. Favorite BTA album. Now, let me clarify a few things and preface a few things, give a couple caveats here, or acknowledgments. First of all, this is my opinion and my opinion only, not the opinion of anybody else or the band officially or anything like that. Secondly, my opinion has changed at various times. So, this is how I feel now, and it is also not to take away from any members who wrote or recorded on any of the other albums. But I think, personally, Dichotomy is the best to Becoming the Archetype album, and most of that has to do with Devin Townsend. There are strengths and weaknesses of all of our albums, and I do not know how Dichotomy would have turned out if we had recorded with someone else, but I think it would have been worse, and I think it would have been not nearly as good if we had had any other producer or mixer. Devin took that album that had potential and songs were decent, and made it something like a notch above what we normally would do. And that was our third album, Dichotomy, came out in 2008. And now I will say some of the things against it, it's got 10 tracks instead of 11 tracks, like our first, second, and fourth album. It's also, the artwork is good. Christian Wallen did the painting for that, and it's good. I think I like Terminate Damnation's artwork better. So I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 in every way, but it was, just the heaviness and all the different sounds and the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff on it. Again, due to Devin, not me, or not even necessarily any member of the band, actually. It just, everything kind of clicked, and Devin put it over the top. So that's what I would say is my favorite BTA album. Another question I got was about the origins of the name Count Seth, which is what I used. If you'll notice in the CD booklets, I'm credited as Count Seth. Okay, actually on Terminate Damnation, I'm credited as Count Seth, Lord of Death. And then on Physics of Fire, Dichotomy, and Celestial Completion, I'm credited as Count Seth. And then on I Am, I'm just credited as Seth Hecox, which is my name. And I will get to why I used Count Seth, Lord of Death in the final part of Metal Church Liturgy, which is story time. So I'll get to that. So you'll find your full answer there on the origins of Count Seth. But I just want to acknowledge that question, acknowledge what, explain to everybody what that's referencing, and you'll get to hear a fuller explanation in the story of the week. And then the third for this week, I mentioned earlier that question from someone as a minister, how do I feel about the theology of BTA lyrics? And I want to go back through and look at some more lyrics and sort of get, because I have had different things back and forth with BTA lyrics through time. So I want to sort of give that a fair shake and look at kind of the breadth of lyrics that we have over those 5 full-length, 1 EP, 2 digital singles. It's a lot to go over and give it a fair shake. So my last one for this week, so it'll be next week. This week, last question is, how long for bands to recover from pandemic effects? Basically, how long is it going to take for various bands to... Did you like my voice crack there? Mans. I preached today, like I said, and once my voice gets tired, it cracks. So, yay. I think it's going to be a while, to be honest, and I think that's not even necessarily due to the bands. I think it's people are taking a long time, and probably will take a long time, to become comfortable in public. And I can't speak for other countries, of course. Some of the countries have gotten over the effects of the virus much quicker than we have in the United States. We are still kind of in the throes of pain here with the coronavirus cases. I know that our church is not having nearly as many people show up for the drive-in worship, and there's probably some reasons for that. It's summer, which is normally down, and families are on vacation. Uh, People might be weirded out that we're in cars in the parking lot for worship, and we're not having communion right now. So there's reasons for that, but I hear that's happening basically everywhere. Everyone I talk to in different states, different denominations, a lot less people showing up to church if they have church. And it's the same for all non-essential things. People got to go to the grocery store still, so they're still, kind of normal numbers. But almost anything that is having people there seems to be having a lot lower number of people. So my guess is that even when people do start having concerts, which I hope is not soon, I hope they give it time. But when they do, I wouldn't be surprised if numbers are much, much lower. And for the metal community, which is underground, that's tough because it's already kind of small. It's not like you're usually playing for thousands and thousands of people. Sometimes you're not even playing for hundreds and hundreds of people. Sometimes you're playing for dozens of people. Sometimes less. Depends, it just depends on a lot of things. What day of the week it is, what town it is, what venue it is, competing shows, how big your band is, all that kind of stuff. So, you cut those numbers down at all, and you're in trouble for a lot of bands. Not all bands, but a lot of bands. So, speaking of which, CD sales, music sales, album sales have been way down for years now, for over a decade. But did you hear that Trapped's new album did 600 units first week, which is worse than any of our albums did first week? And I know they're not like a thing anymore necessarily, but they were huge back in the day. And this is that band Trapped, that like kind of dumb radio rock band, Trapt. And the reason it was newsworthy is because they had been stirring up controversy on Twitter, arguing with they had been arguing with bands for a long time. So my screen says, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video, so I'm not sure why that is. So let me try to, if you can't see me right now, let me know. I'll try to figure out why that is. And I'd hate to just do this and you guys not be able to see me. Let's see. I'm not getting any comments, so you guys either must see me or something. Okay, you can see you. All right, cool. I don't know why I can't see me, but you can see me, so that's good. Okay. So for Q&A, that's basically, I just think it's going to take a long time to recover. And I can't give you an idea of how long because we don't know how long the pandemic's going to last. So, who knows? There's no way to sort of guess that, but I just don't think it'll be soon. It's not like, I think in March and April and maybe even into May, lots of people felt like, okay, hey, just in general, society's going to get back pretty quickly, and we're going to get over this thing, and we're going to return to normal. And not only is that not true, I actually sort of wonder if we'll ever get back to like really, really normal. I don't know that we'll hardly ever get back to the point where everything is just like it was before. There's going to be a lot of hesitation. I noticed that, you see your anxiety just looking at pictures of that are from like 2 years ago, but maybe two guys talking and their faces are like this far apart. And I see the picture, I'm like, oh God, they can't do that. But, obviously I mentally know that it's from years ago before the pandemic, but I think that visceral sort of gut level reaction makes it so that people, even if we have a vaccine and people move past, it's just going to be hard for people to just feel comfortable doing things. Now, you might emerge into a new kind of just adjusted normalcy. People get used to wearing masks. People maybe don't shake hands as much or give hugs as much. Those are the kind of, I think of them as minor changes. But it would change mosh pits a lot. It would change how packed you did venues. It would change. I think it's, there's also economic repercussions. So you're going to have people with less money. So you may see less people buying albums and less people, going to shows and stuff. So, I don't know that they'll ever return to, I don't know that we'll ever get to a point where people say, oh, yes, just like it was before COVID-19 pandemic. But I do think you'll get back to something eventually. It just probably take a while. So those are the 3 questions for the Q&A, and the Q&A is now done, and that's section 4 of Metal Church Liturgy. So now we're to section 5 of Metal Church Liturgy, which is Riff of the Week. And Riff of the Week will be, this week, a little song that is named after a plague of its own called Necrotizing Fasciitis. So before I get into it, I want to, man, you know, without being able to see myself, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be on video that well, so I wish I could figure out why my video is not actually playing. But anyway, once we start playing this, I want to make a couple notes about what you're going to hear. So I did tune my guitar down to drop C, which is what most of our songs are in, so it would be in the right key for most songs. Funny part is, the song I'm about to play is in drop B flat, and we did a handful of songs in drop B flat. Everything else is in drop C. So this song I'm about to play will not be in the same key that the recording is. But it is at least in drop C, which is the tuning of most other songs, so maybe next week's riff will actually be in the correct key. I also have put this through an amp. So someone said, hey, you know, would it be too hard to just play it through an amp? So I figured, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stand up here, and can you guys hear this okay? Okay, since my video isn't coming through and I can't see myself, I'm going to rely on you guys. Can you guys see this and my hand? You guys give me some feedback here so I can find out. And let me know if you can hear that okay. You should hear some distortion. You can hear it? Great. Good, 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 good. Okay, everybody seems to be getting this. Okay. This is a really grindy, nasty song. So I just want to say there's a lot of sort of chromatic stuff. There's a little bit of key type stuff, but you start off with that, you know, Jason has that make it sound nasty. And then it is, and you got 6, 3, 4 open, because you're going to be a lot on 1 open, 3, 4, and 1 open, 4, 5. A lot of it's built around that. I was listening to a lot of Decapitated at this time. John and I both wrote the song. This is a good story of collaboration where we wanted to do something like this, and we wanted to keep it a short song that's really grindy and nasty. Like I said, listen to a lot of Decapitated, so especially one of the riffs, that last riff, is a really Decapitated type of riff, and so we made it really chromatic and gross and grind short. So, you know, Necrotizing Fasciitis, and then you've got tremolo picking. 1, open 3, open 1, open 4, and then I switch down to the lowest string. And then a chromatic walk-up. So you got this. A lot of 1s and opens. And we used this also for some nasty things. You can either do the strings up here or down here. So you got this sort of, got to move fast. So. Okay. Or. So you got this all kinds of nasty sounds and noise and feedback and stuff going on in there. So, yeah, so later riff there, I mentioned the open 1, 3, and 4. There's also the open 1, 4, and 5 in this. So once you get to that slower part, the Born in Darkness. 5, 4, 1 open. So you got all that kind of notes going on in there. Then after you go through that whole thing, you got the breakdown. Again, 1, 3, 4, and open as your main notes there. Necrotizing Fasciitis. And now this next riff is that decapitated style one that I was talking about, where I was really proud of it, I use every single fret from open all the way up to the 7th fret on this, so it goes like this. So 1, open, 3, 4, 6, 5, 3, 4, open, 6, 5, 2. Okay, and then you can hop up to the higher string, an octave up if you want. So yeah, that's the riffs, the main riffs from Necrotizing Fasciitis, and like I said, John and I wrote that. I wrote a lot of the stuff, but I know John wrote at least a couple of those riffs and variations of those riffs, and I since we did it together, sort of in practice space, I honestly can't remember exactly who wrote which section completely. So I think it turned out really well, and that's a lot of times the best way to do that stuff. So that's your, oh, hold on, let me get my section card. That is your riff of the week. So this has been a fun episode 2 of our Metal Church Liturgy. Our last part of Metal Church Liturgy is story time, and I don't have a section card yet. This is the note card that this was going to be on, and I just haven't written it out yet. Actually, if you want to wait for just a second, I'll do it. So I'll try to do a different kind of, since last week's story was really gross with the puke and the human feces and all of that, I'll try to make it kind of nasty. I'll make it sound nasty. I'll try to make it look nasty. And brown. Yeah, green and brown. If you have kids in your house, the green and brown are great, because that's like the colors of puke and poop. So yeah, I think I got it looking pretty gross now. So it'll do for now anyways. Story of the week is our last part of Metal Church Liturgy. Almost your announcements or benediction, if you will. So I said during the Q&A section that I would get back to the origins of the name Count Seth and the story, and this is that story. So the reason that I'm credited as Count Seth on 4 of our 5 albums, and the reason I'm credited as Count Seth, Lord of Death on Terminate Damnation, is because in the summer after my freshman year of college, so shortly after I turned 19, I built a coffin for myself. So I'd read Moby Dick recently, and you remember the story where Queequeg builds his own coffin, and his coffin turns out to float and save the narrator there at the end after the great whale has sunk the boat. And so I built my own coffin. It's one of those angled coffins, not like a straight rectangular coffin, but the old sort of angled one. And so I built the whole thing, got it screwed and glued together, and built the door and everything. And I thought, I need a good finishing touch. I did all the staining and all that. I need a finishing touch on the door right there, like above where my head is. And Jason was over a little bit while I was building it. I was listening, like Crimson Thorn and Tourniquet and Decapitated and bands like that while I worked. It's kind of fun. And Jason said, I could draw you something that you could like wood burn into that, because he's a much better artist than I am, like hand drawing. I said, sure. I said, I don't know, almost like maybe a facial portrait that looks sort of vampire-ish, and then Count Seth, Lord of Death, around there. So he did this. He did this pretty cool drawing, actually. And I've got pictures of this, the door of this. I think it's on our Instagram account where you can see these pictures of this door. And so I did it. He drew it on there in pencil. I wood burned it in. It's this sort of Eastern European sort of looking person with fangs and hair and the collar, and then circled, around the face and neck, and then the words in sort of a flowery script, Count Seth, Lord of Death, around there. And I put that in partly for the decoration of the coffin, which I did sleep in one night in college. It was really hot. I put that on because, in my at that time, I thought it made sense that Christ conquered death, which made him, if you conquer something, you're the king or lord of it. So Christ conquered death. He's the Lord of death, and we were joint heirs. We have joined him in his victory over death and sin. So, stood to reason that Christ was Lord of death, therefore I was Lord of death. So, it kind of made a lot of sense. Count Seth, Lord of death. And so, I made this coffin, took it to my dorm room and set it up during my last semester there before we left on tour with BTA, and still had it. And I still have it at my parents' house, as long as they haven't destroyed it or something. And when we came out with our first album, Terminate Damnation, August 30th, 2005, we had a CD release show. Lots of bands do that kind of stuff. We did a CD release show at the Schma in the Birmingham, Alabama area. Great venue, huge turnout every time, wonderful place. And what we did for that show is we put all our merch in the coffin and carried our merchandise into the venue in that coffin and then set it up beside our merch table. So we have this huge, like 7-foot tall, angled, stained wood coffin that was sitting beside our merch table with Count Seth, Lord of Death, there. And then I think after the show we put our merch back in there and carried it out. But it was pretty neat, pretty fabulous. And so that's where that name Count Seth comes from. And I still get people occasionally that say, "Hey, are you Count Seth?" So I don't go by very much now, being just a married man, kids, pastor, all that kind of stuff. But that's where that story comes from. And I'm glad I was able to share with you that final part of Metal Church Liturgy, my gross story of the week. So that's been episode 2. Thanks for joining in. We'll plan on doing episode 3 next Sunday of Sundays with Seth. And you can always submit some cues. Looks like I've already got one question for the Q&A section next week. Send us some messages, and I'll see you guys then online. Take care.